What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about DigiByte today, DGB. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, you guys, and let's get into it. It's the 18th of April. We started a new day here, 2.8% to the downside. We've got about 21 hours, 12 minutes left in the day. I do believe that we're about to break out and see higher prices. We're in this nice consolidation phase here. It's a bit of a symmetrical triangle. Maybe it's not a symmetrical triangle. Maybe it's an ascending triangle. We do have a flat top after all. Tomato, tomato, whatever you want to say. We're definitely at the end of this consolidation phase here, and likely we're going to see some expansion to the upside. We could break out to the downside. It's possible, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think that this area here, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but I think that this area right here that we're at right now is a perfect area to buy. I really do believe that it's a perfect area to buy. We're about to pop. We're about to see our next area, and it's going to take us above these highs here. It's going to go a little bit beyond there. So to measure that next area, I'm going to look at the 3-day time frame, zoom out here, and go from an overall high back in December to the low. I don't want to take the February 3rd low. I'm going to take this low here instead, because I think the February 3rd low is like a scam wick. It's fake price action. From a relative high to a relative low, I believe the next area you would go to at a minimum would be the golden ratio zone. So somewhere around 1.42 to 1.54 cents. You got resistance right there. That's nice. Prior areas of resistance here and support here at that same golden ratio area. So that makes sense to me, 1.42 to 1.54 cents. If you don't stop there, my assumption would be that instead of stopping at a lower price, that you would stop at a higher price. We've seen a lot of cryptos tear through their golden ratio on the first attempt throughout this whole cycle. It's been a very common thing, and I wouldn't be surprised in the least if DigiByte bypassed its golden ratio zone and saw prices at 1.7 to 1.9 cents by the end of this next little phase up. Now, this isn't the next move overall, right? The next move, like the real next move on a weekly basis, it's going to take you up to new highs that you haven't been to this whole cycle. And we'll get into that in a second. But this move here, I'm assuming, because on a daily basis, you look like you're in this consolidation phase, you look like you're about to break out of it. I would assume that within the next week, you'll be making headway, and maybe even by the end of next week, which the end of next week is, that would be on the 27th. So within the next 10 days, I would assume you're at a 1.42 cent price or higher. Okay, and maybe even less than that, right? When you break out from here, I'm assuming you're going to see a move that's very similar to this, but bigger, and it's going to take like 4 days, 5 days to come to full maturity once things really get underway. So I really do believe 1.42 to 1.93 cents, something in that area. If I really had an area that was like my most favorite, I guess I'd say 1.7 cents, 1.5 cents, somewhere in this zone here. But time will tell. And again, I expect that to happen over the next 10 days. Now, whenever it comes to past that time, whenever it comes to what I expect over the next couple of months, I think that crypto, I think Bitcoin, I think the rest of crypto is going to be moving up, and I think DigiByte is going to get a piece out of that. You've been in a long phase of accumulation. Very long phase of accumulation since May of 2022. It'll have been about 3 years at this point in May that you really start breaking away from these high points here, and I think that it will be May that you start breaking away from these high points here. You're going to see an overall retracement of this long phase of accumulation. A lot of cryptos that have done this cycle already, where they've consolidated, accumulated, not for 3 years at this point, right, but for a year, 2 years, however long it was, from a high to a low. Whenever they do break out, they go through their golden ratio and hit that 786 to 886 zone. I'm not saying that's going to happen for DigiByte, but I wouldn't put it past you. From the current price, just to get to the golden ratio is about a 3.7x, a 4.7 to a 4.8x. That's decent. That's not bad. That's above average for what I'm expecting the average altcoin to do over the next 2.5 months. But I think DigiByte has a little bit more in store for it. The golden ratio, you did find support here time and time again. You found a little resistance there, resistance back here. 4.6333 or 337 cents is an area to watch. But if you go higher and you do what a lot of cryptos have done this cycle and just bypass that and go right to your 786 area, I could see this happening. 8.5 cents, 12.2 cents, somewhere in that zone. That would be like an 8x to a 12x. Maybe you stop right there at 10 cents. Nice psychological level of resistance. Something in this zone. You could go higher by the end of June. You could be at new all-time highs, but I don't know if DigiByte sees that. Time will tell. I'm curious to see what happens. That's for damn sure. But I do very much believe that by the end of June, you'll be up around 8.5 to 12.2 cents. If not, most likely somewhere in between. Minimum target would be 4.6 cents. At either rate, at any rate, I would expect that the next move up here overall will be bigger than anything you've seen in years. Literal years, you guys. So, probably I mean, yeah, like something like this, right? But over the next 2.5 months, I think you're going to see some crazy, crazy growth in a very short amount of time. Um, afterwards, and I think that it's less appropriate now to talk about where I think the all time highs will be by the end of the cycle. I do think you will see new all time highs by the end of the cycle. Um, Especially with the newfound life you've gotten into it. You know, shout out to Economic Ninja for putting this on a lot of people's plates recently. I know DigiByte's an old coin. We've talked about it here, years ago, and throughout the bull cycle. I know Ninja has too, but a lot more so recently, a lot more focus. It seems like there's some new momentum behind DigiByte in the team and other promoters, other people in the YouTube space, the crypto space that are helping bring back the life in this thing. And I'm just thinking that this thing has a new kind of sense of vibrancy is all I'm trying to say. And with that, I'm really curious to see how far this move up goes, right? Is it going to see new all-time highs by the end of June? Are we going to be just below? It's not appropriate to really guess where the all-time highs are going to be until we see where this next move takes us ultimately, right? From the high here to the bear market low, my assumption would be that DigiByte sees prices around $1.70 or higher, maybe as high as 18. I don't know if we see that. What's the market cap on DigiByte? Let's see here. DGB. 171 million. Let's just say 170 million, right? 170 million right now. If that's where you're at, and that is where you're at, what would this be? So that's 100x, 170 million. 100x would be what, 17 billion? So maybe not $18, right? But I do think you could stop at $1.70 by the end of the cycle. Absolutely. DigiByte is a 100xable coin, even multi-100xable at this point. Could it see 447 or 675? Sure, it could, but I don't think it will. I like that $1.70 area, and maybe even just above there, just below $2. I really like that, and above 81 cents, I like that as well. Maybe around $1 or higher. From the current price, you guys, you've got 100x or more potential for sure. At a bare minimum, at a very bare minimum, we're talking about like a 50x potential in this thing. So I think DigiByte has a lot of promise. I think it has a lot of promise. It's not in the doghouse anymore, right? You guys remember back here, I thought DigiByte was going to zero. I thought it was dead. If it was to see a new high relative to this cycle, it would be a lower high relative to last cycle. But it's different circumstances now. Again, you've got big names talking about this thing. Again, shout out to Economic Ninja, 500,000 or 600,000 subscribers, however many he's got on YouTube now. That's a big name promoting this coin, right? He's definitely made it clear that he's a pro of DigiByte or a fan of DigiByte. And then the DigiByte crew, apparently development's underway and there's some new exciting things going on with this thing, keeping it alive after all this time, even in the pits of despair where people, even myself, were writing this off as if it was done. And it broke my heart whenever I said that. I remember word for word I said it breaks my heart whenever stuff like this happens because I've liked DigiByte even whenever I believe that it was going to go to zero. I love my OG coins, man. This was forged back in the like true heritage of the crypto space, in my opinion, as far as like what the actual point and purpose of crypto is meant to be. But I digress. All I'm trying to say is there's a new life in this thing. The DigiByte team and other influencers, I think, have a lot to do with that. And with this, we can see some tremendous growth, you guys. 50 cents, $1.70, somewhere in between. We're at not even 1 penny now. I think you're going to break out over the coming days. I think that by the end of this month, you will see prices that are at like 1.5 cents or higher. Then going into May, going to June, you're going to see a lot more growth. And I've got nothing else for you. So that's all. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.